empty. Greg Gutfeld, your thoughts?
Well, you watch Warnock there saying, like, how do we talk to men? Well, try to be normal. But you notice he couldn't even do that when he was talking about it. The first thing out of his mouth is talking about, well, there's misogyny and sex abuse. And it's like, you lost us. See you later. We're out the door. They can't be normal because they forgot what normal is. They only appear normal come election time. I said it before. If Democrats act like it was election time every day, they'd be normal. But they don't. They could be pro-cop and anti-chaos every day, but they pull the wool over our eyes for like a couple of weeks, telling us, hey, we're normal, you'll like us, and then they go back to their radical stripes. They can only take a shower to wipe the radical filth off maybe once every 2 years, and then now they're realizing it's so crusty that they can't get it off on time, and we see how left-wing you are. They could learn from Trump in a very simple way. When he entered politics, he changed the system. The system didn't change him. It's the secret to your success. He didn't become a Republican to be more like a Republican. He became a Republican so the Republicans could be more like him. And when I went to the state dinner with Jesse Waters, wasn't that a great time?
Thank you for
taking me as a date.
You're welcome.
I spent time with Sean Duffy, Marco Rubio, Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, Hegseth. When you're talking to these people, these are not trad Republicans. They have an energy that you've not experienced before. You can call it MAGA, you can call it Trumpy. It's not. It's a kind of confidence, brash and real. It didn't exist 15 years ago. Trump is basically saying, yeah, you can tell roast jokes at a roast, but it's more interesting if I tell roast jokes at a press conference. You can bash the refs at a basketball game, but I'm going to do it at a debate. So what he's doing is he's bringing elements of real life into something that was supposed to be immune from it. And he's changing the way it is. Democrats can't do that. They don't know because they don't know what they are.
Yeah, they're panicking, Kennedy, at the thought that the institution is different now, while scrambling to protect their institutions of big government and education and the like. What do you think about these voices? Is it going to work? Are people going to listen to Warnock after they decipher his?
No, because I want to pick up on two things that Greg said, because I think he's really right about the fact that they only come out and say stuff like this when it's convenient right before an election, and that makes it naturally inauthentic. Like if you say something like this when you're not in fear of losing your post as a politician, then you're a lot more believable. But if you're only saying it to get votes from a part of the electorate that you're hemorrhaging, there's something about it that is just phony. And, Fetterman's absolutely right that they need to figure out a way to be a party outside of TDS. And, they have capitulated. They've capitulated to progressives. And if you decide to capitulate, then you have given up any moral ground or anything that at one point moored you to an interesting philosophy or worldview. And after hearing John Fetterman, and, we wrote him off when he was having his health troubles and when he was running for Senate initially, but he was one of the few lonely, rational voices that is being completely marginalized by his party. And that's the dumbest thing they could do. They should listen to the advice that he has. And, every time I see him say things like that, it reminds me of Harold, and Harold has to find a Fetterman.
Fetterman. Harold, I've noticed as well, as everyone has, that the Democrats are also ascribing that label to any Democrats that dared to work with President Trump or be open to bipartisan ideas. It seems like they're really enlarging that rift. There is no commitment to narrowing it whatsoever.
Well, I differ there. I think that we suffer in our politics from a deficit of either side wanting the other side to work with one another. And there's no doubt Democrats get beat up a bit for working with President Trump. But let me level set this a little bit here. Raphael Warnock has won Georgia statewide 2 times. So has President Trump. He clearly, I think if you listen to this whole thing, he's basically saying what we're saying, but it took him a while to say it. That we've got to figure out how we speak more plainly and we not alienate or act as if we're working against the interests of men. 2, I was very clear in the first segment about how I think politicians, be it blue cities or wherever, it seems like there are more blue cities that are wrong to let people out of jail who commit violent crimes. And I have to tell you, we have to be honest. The reason that the president was so frustrated, and I hope he has a great trip in China, is because gas prices are up 50%. Jet fuel costs are up 2 times. Not only gas prices are up, food prices are up. Healthcare costs are up. If you look at, I don't like polls necessarily. I think the best poll is an election, but polls give us some snapshot of where people are. 3 out of 4 Americans think that cost of living issues are being exacerbated by the policies of the president. Where I do agree with you guys, Democrats need to speak to an agenda. They need to speak to the aspirations of voters. That's how you win elections. President Trump upended the political system in 2016 with a very plain-spoken, some people thought it was offensive at times, but he was plain-spoken about what he wanted to do. He did it again when he won in 2024. And I think the frustration so many people are feeling, Emily, is that the president said that he would end the war in Ukraine. It's not. He said that this war that we're fighting in Iran would be over in a few weeks. It's not. He said that he would end inflation as we know it. He has not. This is not something I'm rooting against him. I'm rooting for him to do these things.
Now do the list of the things he's done, Harold. We'll be here all day.
But
Let's start with the border.
But Greg, here's the thing. Every election, I know you know this, but I'm going to give you just one tutorial on this. Elections, presidential races, people make decisions about the direction they want to go in the country, and it's always about the economy.
Of course.
Midterms are referendums on whether or not those policies are being pursued. As we sit here today, Republicans are likely going to get cleaned. They're going to get their clocks cleaned in these elections because of the economy. And if we don't find a way to lower costs, and if I were Democrats, I'd be asking the president to end the tariffs. The people we're making the richest in this war and with Iran are the Russians because gas prices are going up. So I hear everything you're saying. Democrats need to learn to speak more plainly. Democrats need to stop talking about some of the social issues that Greg talks about, I think rightly so. But I got to tell you, people are frustrated with politicians all across the board because I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican, you're still paying $5 at the pump.
You need your own.
You're still paying growth.
You can't have ours.
Well, he's not doing great right now. I like him, but he's not doing great right now. My prices are up.
Jesse, also not just plain speak to men, but maybe not vilifying them. Maybe not calling them toxic just for existing.
Well, men, I know what they hate. They hate being lied to. Women lie to each other all the time. It's how you guys communicate.
No, we don't.
Constantly lying to each other's face.
Never lied to Kennedy in my life, and you've never lied.
That's a lie.
I'll be the judge of that. And so, because men have honor, and so it insults our honor when you guys lie to our face. And then it also insults our intelligence, too. When you say walls don't work or there could be 17 different genders, we're like, all right, you guys are crazy. We'll be over here. Let us know if you need help with anything. And we offered help. We offered to build a border wall and to throw away the criminals, and they didn't want to do it. So we're like, okay. I also agree with Fetterman that we don't like women using the F word. When it's F Trump, it's just, it's not ladylike.
Ladylike.
I try not to hear half the things you say anyway.
Who are you talking to?
There is talking to women.
Oh my God.
And there's also something very effeminate about complaining about a guy your whole life. The whole party complains about this guy, and it kind of makes other guys be like, all right, I've got to get this guy's back if all these people are friends with snitching.
It's not like that white lady didn't want to send the black guy to jail. I mean, you want to protect. What are you talking about?
Yeah, you know what it is?
It's boring. It's like long COVID.
Can I use your practice of remember the scene in Animal House after the guy goes on that date with that girl and pretends he's the boyfriend of her dead roommate, and then afterwards she's sitting with her friends and they're going, oh, does she really like the guy? But they're, oh, you poor thing. That's what the Democrat Party is about Trump. They're like, oh, he's so bad, but they really want him. Ew. Sorry. Well, I was trying to save you.
Successfully saved. Let's go.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.